Welcome to LOA Today. Walt Thiessen and life coach Tom Wells here. Today is Monday, April the 30th, 2018, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Your first daily dose of happy for the day. We're at the end of April. That's kind of hard to believe. I mean, it seems like 2018 just started and now it's 1/3 over. How is that possible? I don't know, but somehow we've made it through April. It's amazing, Tom. I just don't quite get it, but here we are. And we're
I don't get it either.
Yeah. But the good news is we are now in spring. This is my favorite time of the year. It's when everything is budding up, and I'm just loving all that. And Louise and I really celebrated over the weekend. On Saturday, we had a nice long bike ride in, which was really needed and really beautiful. I mean, the weather was gorgeous. It was just so nice out. The only thing that really surprised me about it, Tom, was that we were out on the bike path, right? The Rails to Trails path that goes near our house, and there was nobody out. I mean, there were a few people, but I expected the trail to be packed on a Saturday, first nice Saturday of the spring and so forth.
I wonder what was going on.
I don't know. I don't quite understand it. But all I know is...
early?
No, we weren't out particularly early. It was like, I think we went out at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, well, that's unusual.
So, I mean, it was just surprising. But, hey, that's all right. It left lots of room for us. That was the main thing.
That's great.
Yeah, so... How you doing? How was your weekend?
Oh, it was really good. I did a little trip to the mountains, too, with two friends, and we went and sat up there in the middle of the trees and rocks and talked and did a little bit of a stretching, things like that. That was yesterday morning. And then I spent some wonderful time with a friend of mine and who getting very close to.
Oh, great.
And went to a fantastic party with a whole bunch of older friends that I've known for 30 years or so, about 20 of those friends, big birthday party that just turned into so much fun. It was ridiculous. It was just like so much laughter and happiness. I couldn't believe it. I love that.
Fantastic. So
yeah, it was a good weekend.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're taking on another Abraham topic. This is an Abraham-Hicks topic that they bring up a lot, segment intending. And,
yeah, it's one of their processes.
It's one of their processes, yeah. And I wanted to remind you. I just heard something there that reminded me. Just back off on your microphone a little bit because we're getting some of that breathiness again, so that'll help a lot. But segment intending is one of those processes that I hadn't really done for most of the time that I heard about it until a few months ago, and then I tried using it, and it actually does help you get through the day. I mean, I don't know. I don't have any clear evidence that tells me it helps me attract stuff better, but it makes my day go easier. And that alone is an improvement, no matter how you look at that.
Yes. And I was excited to do this podcast because this is the technique I've used more than anything else as far as one of the actual processes that they suggest. And I find it to be magical, just amazingly wonderful for me. And I thought we could practice it for this show. As we launch into the podcast, we could both do a segment intending as a demonstration to the audience of how you do segment intending.
Okay. All right. Well,
but it's basically, just to describe it, it's something that as you go into each new vibrational change of your day, whenever things shift, like if you're in the middle of writing and then all of a sudden a phone call comes, well, that's a new segment beginning when you pick up that phone, if you take the call. Or if you've been, you stop and you go and you fix your food, that's a brand new segment you're entering. Or you got to get in the car and go to a meeting somewhere, that's a whole new segment. One would be the driving from your home to the place. The next segment begins when you get there. They're just logical breaks in your day. And what you do is you say, this is expected that you do this when you're coming from a good place, not a place of a lot of anxiety and fear, because it often, in fact, they recommend don't do it if you're in a place of where you're really backed up about something. It's use a different process for that, like a focus wheel. Or maybe even the wouldn't it be nice process that we did in the last podcast. Mm-hmm. But don't use segment intending unless you're already feeling a bit hopeful about the next thing in your life. You're feeling more, and hopefully you're feeling very, you're feeling pretty good. And you say, what you're asking for is the thing that's already in your vortex. You're not really asking the universe, like brand new. You're sort of acknowledging yourself, what's in your intention for that segment, as from your higher self. So if we were to look at this podcast, I might say, my segment intending for this segment, which is called this morning podcast, is that I want to feel some humor, and I want to feel some lightness. I want to feel some joy and possibility of enthusiasm and enlightenment. I want to learn something really great from this time we spend together, and I want the synergy between Walt and I to multiply as we talk, and that one thing that he says and the next thing that I say build upon each other in a way that there's literally a third thing there that which is like, that thing Jesus said, when two or more are gathered together, there is the Spirit, and I want this conversation to come alive with the magic of what's possible in our lives, each of our lives, but in the lives of all the people that are listening. Like, how can we convey something that is uplifting to everybody, that is soothing, and that helps us really understand, wow, this is a tool I could use a lot more. This could really change my life in a beautiful way.
Yeah, very true.
So that's my intention. Some of the things I would say, intending, I want to feel clarity. I want to feel happiness. And you can go crazy with all the things you say, but you don't want to maybe sometimes add too much, because, if it's just overwhelming. But if it's bringing us higher and higher as we say those things, then I think that's a good way to do segment intending.
I think so too. I have a question that comes to my mind, and maybe some of our listeners may have had this question too. You mentioned doing segment intending when you're about to get a phone call, when a phone call is coming in. And the question I have is, if the phone's ringing, how do you stop the segment intending?
How do you do segment intending?
While the phone call is coming in.
Yeah,
because the phone's ringing. It's like, oh my God, I got to take the phone call. Well, wait, I got to do my segment intending.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking of it more in terms of maybe that the call's coming.
Oh, already. I see. Okay.
Like when I know I'm going to have this call.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I can segment, and I do segment intend before the call. In fact, I spend, about an hour before each call, getting ready for it, and a lot of that is intending, what I want to convey.
Maybe do something like, God bless me for this call. Hello.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like Wayne Dyer, supposedly on his answering machine when he was alive, he said, I really appreciate you calling me. Thank you for calling me. I imagine that you called me because you have something wonderful to tell me. If that's true, then please leave a message. If it's not true, please call Dr. Phil.
I love it.
And Esther was saying how that was an indication of an intention, that he was pre-paving all of his phone calls.
Dr. Phil, of course, had an automated answering the service on his machine, and when you got his number, it said, if this is a call from a Wayne Dyer referral, please press 6.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that's fun. But yeah, segment intending is a process that I've been using somewhat more frequently. I don't do it as often as I'd like to, but I like the idea that we're going to practice it today. So starting off this next segment where we're actually going to go into it in detail, my intention is this is going to be fun. This is going to be really fun. This is going to be something to raise the vibration, and we're going to have plenty to laugh at, because hey, look at the laughing we've done already. We barely started. We're only 9 minutes in, and it's going to just be a wonderful thing. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Good.
So we can get really general with it, and you can get specific with it. Going general, because sometimes really a nice way to go, because then we're saying things that are, like if you're waking up in the morning, and before you get out of bed, it's something that I try to do every morning, is to say some of the things that I want going forward that day. Like, this is the day I want to I want to feel enthusiasm. I want to feel inspiration today, and I want to. I'm choosing to feel good as much as possible throughout this day, I'm choosing to pre-pave the segments of my day with the
That's right.
qualities that I want in those each of those segments that are coming not out of fear. They make a really clear point is that we don't want to do these things out of the fear of everything that could go wrong, and then you try to say the opposite of each of those things.
Yeah, that's the hard way to go. Yeah.
Yeah, because it activates the fear vibration of that
Exactly.
very thing that you're afraid could happen, and so in a way you're sending this confusing message out there that's saying, I'm afraid this could happen, but here's what I want to have happen instead. And
So what you get is a
so,
mixed result. Yeah, and that's not what you're looking for. It's one of those things that is a little bit challenging to do at first, and that's why I like what you just said about doing it as go general. When you go general, it's a lot easier. Especially when you're starting off. It's like, okay, well, what do I say to myself? What am I saying
mhm,
out loud? What am I going to say to somebody else who's in the room? Well, go general. When you go general, that's easy. It's harder when we're doing the specific stuff. So just talk about how you generally want to feel. I want to feel good. I want to feel happy.
mhm,
I want to feel excited. I want to enjoy this thing. That's easy,
mhm.
and it's a nice quick way to get yourself that little boost of vibration. So I like that suggestion.
Yeah. And sometimes, you might say, well, like I'm going to drive, I'm going to go on a 3-hour drive. Well, I want to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
I want to stay very focused on my driving and not get distracted. I want to listen to some really good music. I want to feel really relaxed as I drive. I want to segment and 10 for the place I'm going. But then you can go general, right? After you say all those specific things, they can just say,
So you segment intend when you're going into segment intending. Is that the idea?
I do.
You do, really?
Well, I actually, this is the one process that I do remember constantly and a lot anyway. So it just has changed my life so much because I think one reason it became a powerful technique for me because I used to realize that I would be going to events and things like that party I went to on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
I would be going to that with some trepidation sometimes, like, oh, maybe I was anticipating I might run into somebody there, like my ex-wife or something, and that would therefore be a difficult situation, or
Mm-hmm.
I might, have had a falling out with one of the people who's going to be at that party, and I'm anticipating that it could turn into, a cold shoulder event, and or something could happen, and but then I would just I begin to see, well, I have let my life be run a lot by negative anticipation,
Yeah.
and made me realize that I don't want to go to anything with any kind of negative anticipation. Maybe I'm afraid of something that's going to happen there, or I'm upset about something that is involved in the thing that I'm going to, or the next segment of my day, but I don't want to be focused on that. And so then it became, what are the things I really want to have happen? And I like now that it basically usually arrives in my consciousness at a time that I'm feeling good, and I'm just thinking about, well, I'm on my way somewhere. Therefore, what do I want to experience when I get there? And then I start naming the things, and it's fun because it, as Abraham puts it, it shows us what's in our vortex. If we really pay attention, you can go, well, what's in my vortex for this party tonight? Well, it's a party that I'm expecting to be really, really happy. And I'm expecting to have some really beautiful communication with people that's not only fun, but it could be also really deep. It could be really interesting. I could really feel deep appreciation for these people, and I could feel appreciated by them. I could feel my own value, my own self-worth, and I could tell really funny stories, and I could be
Mm-hmm.
really humorous. I could be really candid and yet very respectful, and I could have my dignity really be intact, and I could, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, the whole evening just got better and better and better the
Nice.
longer I stayed there.
Yeah.
And I made this intention to interact with a whole lot of different people rather than just get stuck in one conversation and spend half of the night there. I said, I want to really interact and let a lot of people know that I love them and that I want to feel their love for me, and I want to just be in that flow. And and so I found myself leaving different situations to go to another part of the room, another part of the house where a different conversation was going on. And so I managed to include a whole lot of my friends in my evening. Whereas a lot
Nice.
of other times I go to those things and I feel like, God, I never saw so-and-so. I never talked to her. I never talked to him. And this time I got to talk to a huge amount of people. So it was really rewarding for me because I
Mm.
set that intention ahead of time. I pre-paved it, with the segment intending.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it sounds a lot like what Louise's lament is whenever we have a party or a function that we go to. She wants to talk to everybody, but she also wants to hear all the conversations at the same time, all the conversations that are going on. And she lets
Yeah.
herself get frustrated because she can hear this one and participate in that one, but she just missed something over there.
That's
So
yeah.
I like the fact that you use your segment intending, among other things, to say, you know what, I'm going to go here and I'm going to go over there and then I'm going to go over there. I'm going to meet as many of the people here that I know that I want to meet as I possibly can during this evening. That's a great way to segment intend even the little mini segments because the evening is a segment, but also there are little mini segments during the entire party. That's a good way to do it. I like that.
Yeah. And I think as we get good at this, we can do it even in the midst of a conversation. You can say, if a conversation, say it's a particular person that you really want to let them know that you appreciate them,
Mm.
then you could then change your intention as you're talking to, what is it I appreciate about her that
Right.
that I want to tell her, or that what's coming up here and how do I want to direct this now from my own intention for what I want to experience and what I want to bring to this conversation. So I don't know. I mean, the thing that Abraham says about is that this can become your tool, you could say your process for being more and more in your vortex, for
Yeah.
being more and more the being that you really are, that knows that you have these great qualities. You have all this beauty about who you are as a human being. You can keep choosing it, as you're going into the next segment of your day. So even if I get off the phone here and I'm going in to fix breakfast, I can say some things about that time that are on the leading edge of that being, like a wonderful experience for me. I can say I want to eat something that tastes really good. I want to choose a food that's really good for my body.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
want to choose something that keeps my weight where I want my weight to be. I want to eat only the amount that really feels good to me. I want to add a really nice beverage. So I think I'm going to have tea, and I think I'm going to have this kind of tea. I want the tea that really, right now, which tea really feels the best for me. And maybe we're doing this all the time anyway, but it's sometimes our minds are filling we're letting this negativity come in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, it's an interesting thing that you mentioned that for two reasons. One, I love the fact that with segment intending, it's frequent. It's something that you do frequently throughout the day. It's not just like a one-time thing that you do in the morning or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I like that is twofold. First, there were so many years of my life where I lived within my own limiting beliefs, so I guess I still do to some extent, and I'm trying to even get rid of those. But the limiting beliefs were pretty severe to the point where for long years, especially in my 20s and 30s, a lot of the time, probably even most of the time, I was not happy. I was not enjoying my life. I wasn't doing anything that was, making me smile even throughout the day. Very rarely did I have a really, really good day. And if it happened to me, not because of anything that I did. So I love the idea of segment intending because it helps me to kind of reverse that long-term process that went on for many, many years, and to do it regularly throughout the day. So I know that I'm making progress on that. I'm really turning and shifting that whole long-term momentum and turning it around and turning it into a positive momentum just by doing it frequently throughout the day. That's pretty big from my perspective.
Yeah, it's developing a muscle, and that's why I'm into it, and I advocate it so much with my clients, is because it's changed my life so massively to be more lightheartedly conscious about what's coming in my day and setting forth those intentions. And a lot of times I just let it go. I don't think about it. It doesn't necessarily come up like when I got to that party Saturday night, I wasn't thinking about the intentions I set, but I was sort of living in them. I was in that bubble of the intentions that I set as I was driving to the party.
Mm-hmm.
It was about a half an hour drive to get there, and I wasn't spending the entire time setting intentions, but I've become really aware that that is what I'm bringing to that party, and therefore I make sure that I do it, and I make sure that when I walk in that door, I'm letting go entirely to those intentions that I set,
Mm-hmm.
and then to watch them multiply and multiply throughout the evening to where I leave and go drive home feeling so fulfilled in
Yeah.
what I wanted from that,
Right.
that it's just a great experience because it's always more than what I expected.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than what I expected, and it's so because then you can get into the moment and just see the beauty of it being
Oh
unfolded by
yeah,
that divine
absolutely.
grace, you might say.
It's a huge thing, and I love the fact that not only do we have the tool available, but I enjoy the feeling that comes with it. I mean, that's what you were just describing, that feeling of when you leave the party or when you've been doing it for a while. The feeling happens particularly after you've done it for a few days in a row, right? Where every single day throughout your day, or as many times as you can remember, I don't always remember, but I usually try to. Sometimes I forget for the phone calls, but that's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
But I do try to do it as often as I can remember to do it during the day. And on those days when I remember, by the end of that day, even if stuff didn't go well at times, I had a really good day. And that to
That's
me
good.
is like the biggest victory right there, because I mean stuff happens. We have plenty of stuff in our vortex that not all of it's positive. We've also put stuff in the vortex that's negative, and it does have a tendency to crop up now and again because we put it there. But when it happens and when it shows up, and you decide to feel good anyway because you've been doing the segment intending, well, first of all, you just blunted the momentum of that negative stuff. And second of all, you got through a day that normally would have been an unhappy day and you turned it into a happy day. That's a victory. That's a
Yeah.
huge victory from my way of saying. And I want to do that as often as I can because I know for a fact, the more often I pull that off, the more my dreams are going to come true.
Hmm. Yeah, and Abraham even talks about using the "wouldn't it be nice if" thing, which we did our last podcast, as a way to get into segment intending. Because
Now, how do they
if you're
tie the
going,
together? I mean, what do they suggest? You start with the "wouldn't it be nice"? Do that for a bit, and
yeah,
then
well,
start
they
doing your
said
segments, or
if you're reaching for how you want some part of your day to go, you could stop and say, well, okay, I have this whole day ahead of me. I mean, that's what I have right now. I've got my whole day ahead of me. And I go, well, wouldn't it be nice if today I really did experience some real progress with getting my new condo. And I really, made some steps in deciding the things I'm going to take and the things I'm going to sell and get rid of before I move. And, or I could say, wouldn't it be nice if today I I just flowed a lot more than previous days, and I got a lot done that
mm,
really needed to get done, and I cleaned up some areas that really freed my energy to flow more easily in that area of, for example, of working on my business and getting additional clients, or attracting more money into my business. Wouldn't it be nice if something really flowed today in that direction? I really want to be open to that, and I really want to allow that to happen. And then you could go, so my intention is that things do really flow beautifully, with my list of things to do and the stuff that I put on my plate today. I want it to be a gentle, easy flow where I smoothly go from one thing to another, but I get things done in a way that I enjoy my day. And I also take the time to really notice the beautiful weather outside, and I take the time to go for a walk. And and when I on my walk, that I just let go of anything that's troubling me at all, and I really notice the beauty of nature. It's springtime here, and everything's blossoming, everything's coming out, and the
yeah.
sun is shining today. It's going to be over 70 degrees, and I just want to be out there and appreciating my life. And this is a time that I can breathe and really just get in touch with my breath, and be in my heart, and just be so appreciative of the life I have. So you can just start, from
Hmm.
wouldn't it be nice, just building
Yeah.
the scenario of your life.
That's pretty good. I mean, that was quite a rampage you did there, by the way. I have to say, very well done. Um,
Thanks.
I'm wondering about something. This is something I've been thinking about a little bit over the weekend, and that is the most, or let's put it this way: the least resistance that we have happens when we're feeling the highest level of vibration, when we're feeling happiest, most joyful, most excited, when we have the biggest clarity levels. All the top levels of the emotional guidance system scale that Abraham gave to us. At that top level, that's where we have the lowest amount of resistance. So that's where our asks get fulfilled most easily, most quickly, which means that's really the ideal place to get to. Now, obviously, if we're in a place of depression or fear or anger or frustration or any of that negative stuff, that's not the place to go to. But for those of us who've actually managed to get our equilibrium into the positive zone and maybe even well up into the positive zone, what's your favorite process for actually getting to that highest level and staying there for a while? That's what I was asking myself. What's my best way to get there? Because the one thing that I definitely wish I was doing more of, and which I definitely did not do earlier on in my life, was to work on really feeling excited about stuff going on in life. And not even to work on it, because that makes it sound too difficult. To work on it with ease, if you will, to experience it regularly, to feel it ongoing, and to feel it as in as high a level of excitement as possible. I mean, I don't really want to be an adrenaline junkie, but that's the one thing I admire about the adrenaline junkies. I mean, they're having a blast. They're often putting themselves in harm's way to do it, but they're having a blast. They're having a great time. And I really would love to figure out, how can I get there without plummeting down a mountain on skis at 85 miles an hour? I really don't want to do that in order to get the blast. You know what I mean?
So you're looking how to be as high as you possibly can. And
I know it's not all the time, but just what's the best process to get there? I guess it depends on who you are, but for you, what's your best process for getting to that level?
Well, I ask for it, of course. I mean, I'm consciously, desiring it, and I do a lot of relaxing to get there. I mean, I just give myself permission to take it easy about not trying too hard. I don't, because I feel like this beautiful experience of life comes a lot from being in a flow. And so I know that I just need a lot of times just to let go of trying too hard. And that's a big one for me, because I think I've spent so much of my life thinking it's up to me to make things happen.
Yeah, me too.
I like to feel like life is actually wants to give me a whole lot of blessing and a whole lot of beauty if I just can relax enough to let it in. And segment intending is a good way. I mean, I certainly believe like saying to myself, let's say I'm going to go up in the mountains for 3 hours and just be out in nature. If I make an intention that I want to really, really experience beauty here on a degree that's just phenomenal for me, that's just really, and I don't mean just external beauty, but feeling good, just feeling so good when I'm up there.
Yep.
I think that's a really good way to get there for me, because that intention to go up there and not to go up there to struggle and get out my journal and go through some, huge process of something I'm struggling with. Although sometimes I do need to do that, that's what's up. But even then, to ask that for resolution, to ask for clarity, to ask to get to the place where I understand that I'm in control of my own happiness and that I can choose that and I can allow that and I can let it happen, let it come to me. So a lot of it is just the way I talk to myself.
So not a particular process, just giving yourself some good positive talking vibe.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I have to do particular process. I have to get out and I do my appreciation journal, or I want to certainly. But sometimes I do it from a place of I feel like I have to because I feel backed up. And
that doesn't sound comfortable.
That's not getting to the highest place.
No.
But I mean, it does. No, but that I can get really high just by taking the time to stop and do the process of getting out and starting to write things that I'm appreciating. it can get me to a whole different level. I've been doing some lately. I was sitting on a lake on Friday, I think it was, a nearby pond, and just writing in my appreciation journal everything about money, that I wanted going forward. And each line that I wrote, I probably wrote about 30 lines, was a different statement about money, like a different way of looking at it. That was another positive way of looking at attracting money into my life and allowing it to flow well.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's really was so cool because each line made me feel good. Each line I wrote was another positive way of thinking about money. And, so things like that. I'm always trying to sort of push the envelope of possibility of feeling good without being an addict of it. Like you say, you don't want to be an adrenaline addict. You don't want to be trying too hard. It's what it comes down to me, because trying too hard, it just always kind of doesn't get me there. I get the highest when I'm just allowing life to be a beautiful thing, and I'm kind of not striving a whole lot. I'm letting my joy come from relaxation.
Yeah. Well, that certainly makes sense, because I think what you're really describing is, we might call it incremental change, or maybe it's the drip method. But essentially, instead of trying to just go for this huge, big buzz all at once, it's just keep pouring in a little bit at a time, a little bit more happiness, a little bit more joy, a little bit more to feel good about, a little bit more to make you feel a little bit better, and to focus on the stuff that you really want, just a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And just by doing that over time, the bucket fills up until it gets to the point
and
where
relaxing a little bit more and a little bit more and trusting a little bit more. That look, is this really up to us to get super, super, super happy, or is it already naturally built in? And because it could be that it's just our overzealous concern, or we call it worry or angst about wanting to have these things in our life that keep them out of our life, because we want them so badly that we're jonesing about it. We're striving too hard.
Jonesing about it.
Yeah, well, I like that word, because it's like, well, why are you trying so hard? Why are you trying so hard? I ask myself that all the time. Like, why? But actually, I don't worry so much like I used to. I'm pretty much just not trying. Sometimes I go, hey, you're not trying hard enough. It's like you're being so relaxed that things are just staying really sedate, and there's no where's the beef, like the old commercial used to say.
Right.
Where's the real gusto of your life? And I do.
I think we're talking about passion at that point. That's what I'm really driving at. I'm looking at how do I bring more of the passion in? Because passion is, the way I think of passion anyway, passion is emotion. Well, I don't want to say on steroids, but it's emotion. It's big emotion. It's emotion that has built up in a large way. And I do actually prefer positive passion over negative passion. The other kind does exist. I've had plenty of experience with it. I'm done with that. I prefer the positive passion, but I like the idea of building up passion for something, because I know passion means there's more power and energy behind it. And when there's more power and energy, then that's when we're doing what we really want the most. We really want to be able to manifest whatever it is we want to manifest quickly, no matter what size it is. And when the passion is there, that's what drives it, I think. I think that's the biggest thing behind it. The passion is what it's what makes everything go, so to speak, and makes it go in a big way.
Yeah, I think I'm looking for that a lot, and I don't know that I always have the greatest handle on it. If I'm, say, at a comedy improv class and I'm going to be doing all these scenes with people, then I can easily bring passion alive by just entering a scene with the intention of I want this scene to be really, really good, or
there's a segment intention right there.
Yeah, I'm going to bring this particular character. He's, this character is going to be a farmer who's got a golden touch, or I don't know. It's going to be a businessman who is really expectant of wonderful things happening all the time. He's always looking on the bright side of everything. And whatever I bring, I could bring a depressed character to the scene, but intending to make it really funny, and make it really interesting that this character, he's depressed, but he's got a lisp, and it's really funny, when he talks. I don't know, there's in each segment of my life, I can be looking at, like I'm in a conversation with those 3 people that I went hiking with the other day, and we're up, sitting in the meadow and talking. It's like, well, what's my intention is that conversation gets really good, that it really gets deep, that we talk about something that's really valuable to the 3 of us in a way that involves each person, and yet it builds, the momentum builds off each person speaking. That can be my intention, and that brings the passion alive for me on the things that I decide to say. Each time it's my turn to say something, can lead the conversation to more of that passion, about life. Like,
that passion is what it's been at the core of what I have been wanting to attract more than anything else for quite some time now. Because for the longest time, I would just act on the idea that, well, if I get into that generally happy place, then I'll start making all my dreams come true. And certainly, I found that by getting into a happy place and staying there, which in and of itself is quite a feat, but just staying there, all kinds of neat and interesting things do happen. What doesn't tend to happen are my biggest dreams, which are the ones that I have the most resistance with and the ones that I need the most practice allowing. And so that's why I want the passion, because with the passion, I mean, that's one thing that Abraham points out. If you're not really in the best possible positive place, but you have a ton of passion, you'll blow through it anyway. So I figure if you combine the 2 together, then you've got you're packing the biggest wallop you could pack, so to speak. You're putting the most positive, powerful energy into getting that vibration going, so that the vibration attracts to you exactly what it is that you're trying to attract. So
I agree.
Yeah.
And that is a good question. So I always say I like to live my life out loud, and I write out loud in all caps.
Oh, nice.
I like to feel like I don't want to just be so sedate and just at peace that I'm not engaged with life, because I came from a background of being like a monk for 10 years, living in ashrams all around the country,
right,
and just meditating so much, and eventually I came to see that I could meditate too much to the point that it sort of sedates me.
Sure.
Sort of like somebody who decides they're going to be stoned all the time. Well, there's good things to be said about that, but there's also, I wonder sometimes, is that just like too much?
Oh yeah, I'd say so.
Just being like in a zone that is defined so much by this quality of what the pot brings to that person's head,
Oh yeah, because it is, when I'm talking about passion, yes, I've been talking about it in terms of, what can I attract into my life, but there's also the other side of it, which is passion is fun. Passion is like the natural high, right? Passion is where you feel like you're really living life to the fullest.
Yeah.
You can't do that when you're drug induced. There's no way to do that. So,
well, I think you can. I
never succeeded with it. Of course, it's been 40 years since I tried, but nevertheless, I mean,
I live in Colorado. Okay. And, I've seen people here who are stoned a lot, who are really produce amazing things in their life, and they live a really happy life. And I don't know. I'm not in their shoes, but I just think that passion, I agree with you. Like if I go dancing, I don't want to just dance, usually just randomly casual. Okay, that was kind of cool. I like to go and see what's possible on the dance floor. I like to pull out all the jams and really see, can my body do this? Can my body do that? And how good can I get in sync with the music? How much can I feel this music and just let go completely to the dancing? And that's where passion really comes alive in those situations, right? And where we're able to let go to that really great degree where...
Oh, yeah. Well, it reminds me of a very old movie dating back from the early 1980s called Flashdance. I don't know if you remember that
I remember that movie.
Do you remember that movie? Yeah. Do you remember
I had a friend who starred in that, yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, Michael Nouri would play the lead man, and he was a friend of mine.
Really? Oh, that's very cool. How nice. So he was the wealthy industrialist. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly.
But you'll remember in the middle of that movie, the lead protagonist, she goes into the gym to do her exercise routine, and that is probably the most highly passionate, energized dance routine I can ever remember seeing. I mean, she starts off by just getting her feet going really, really fast to this very fast paced music, and then, I mean, she's going so fast, she's sweating, she's bouncing around and so forth. And then she starts doing all her routines, and she's like doing flips, and she's doing all this other stuff. And like, holy cow, there's this massive surge of energy that comes through the screen as you're watching this thing. And afterward, you practically need to go take a shower because it was so energetic, you know. I can't imagine someone doing that on drugs. To my way of thinking, that would be impossible.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, maybe not. I mean, I think people do all kinds of things on cannabis, you know, because it's not such a. It's got a huge range of variety, and that depends on each individual too. What they can do when they've smoked a little or whatever. I mean, that's pretty relative to the individual in my mind.
Yeah,
but I agree with you that I don't think most people who were professional dancers would probably get stoned before they dance.
Oh no, they couldn't do it. It'd be impossible to do.
Probably not. You know, depend on the person. I mean, I used to do it before I mountain biked, you know, and I, you know, and I'd be on these single track trails, you know, that are like a foot wide or a foot and a half wide, and a cliff is on one side, and you know, and you're riding right along the edge of the cliff. And I was totally cool being stoned, you know. I wouldn't want to ever do it on alcohol, but being stoned, it just heightened my senses. It made me more able to do it and more relaxed about doing it, I thought, you know. And I just chose it because I was having fun with my brother because we like to do that. But most of the time I would ride a mountain bike, I wouldn't be stoned, but I could do it really well stoned.
Okay, well, to each his own, I guess. That's not for me, but whatever gets you there, I guess.
Yeah, right.
So let's see. What's our next segment here? Because we have to intend the next. Oh, I know one thing. We haven't actually done this in a while, Tom, but I need to take a moment to do it. We haven't urged our listeners to subscribe and share. And we haven't done that mainly because most of our listeners are subscribers already, which we love. But we want more people to be subscribers. So if you are somebody who is listening perhaps for the first time, or you've listened to a few of these and you haven't done anything yet with it, please go to the homepage at loatoday.net and just take a moment to subscribe. All the instructions are there. It's really easy to do. It just takes a few minutes. And the big benefit, of course, to subscribing is that you get all of the shows automatically delivered to your smartphone or other device so that you can always listen to them anytime you want. And we're doing like 44, 45 shows a month. So you're getting a lot. You're getting a lot to listen to. And it's great having those daily doses of happy twice a day, Monday through Friday. Well, you also get to listen to stuff that's in the past because the entire set of archives is on that feed that you get to your smartphone or other device. So, you know, just please do take the time to subscribe because you're going to really enjoy it and it's going to pay off for you. And once you're subscribed, hit the share button too, because there are a ridiculous number of social media share buttons on the loatoday.net page. If you can find a social media icon that's missing, let us know, but I don't think you can because we got them all.
Great.
So subscribe and share.
Yeah.
I didn't set a segment intention on that vocally, but I did in my head. Does that count?
Okay. Well, you know, that's what I do a lot. I mean, I realize I just do it automatically. I think everybody's doing it automatically all the time, but sometimes they don't realize that their negative intention is actually producing what's happening in their next segment.
True. Yeah.
That's the tricky part. You know, when you start realizing, oh, well, I came to this meeting with my friend expecting that she was going to go off on me, and she did, you know.
That's a good point, because that means we always segment intend. What we're trying to do deliberately is to intend positively, to intend the result that we want to have, rather than what is so often the default of intending, well, geez, that terrible thing's going to happen.
And that's where Abraham was saying that this can become the most powerful process. In fact, I think I read one thing where they said it is their most powerful process they offer.
Oh, they did say that. Okay.
To become a conscious creator. Okay. Because if you are getting really good at this and doing it consistently, what you're doing is saying that this is what I'm intending for my life, and you're practicing what you want to be intending going forward. That's the thing I love about it. I mean, if I'm going to a meeting, like I used to go to this meeting once every week with this group of people, and it was called Intenders, and we would go and we would set our intentions, and we would talk about what we were grateful for in our lives. So each person would go around the group and get a chance to say, what they're appreciating in their life and then what they're intending going forward. And so when I'd be driving to that meeting, a lot of times it would be in the morning. Well, it was always, kind of earlier in the morning, and I would be not yet fully into my day. And so driving there would give me time to intend what I wanted. And I thought that was so cool because I would show up at the meeting often a very different person than when I got in the car and started driving there.
That is good. Well, that's great progress to do that, because that means you really are becoming a deliberate creator moment by moment in your life. If you can move that to me is the whole thing, learning how to move our emotions up the scale on demand. When we can do that, that's when we're showing our power, I think.
Yeah. And I'd be real patient with myself. Like, I would say the things that I really appreciated and that felt really good. And sometimes I would get feeling so good that I knew that when I came to that meeting, when it was my turn to talk, I was going to bring something really inspiring to the group, because I was getting so high, and thinking about, I'd be driving there and be noticing, all the leaves coming out and it's springtime, or all the leaves turning when it's fall. And I would, come in there with this great appreciation and enthusiasm for what was going on in nature. And I would speak about it, and people would love it because I would be really high about how beautiful it was, or
I imagine you also
out by life. Life is so precious and so awesome.
I imagine you also get kind of the unexpected reactions that I would sometimes get too. Like, for instance, when I started playing my positive music playlists on my phone while I went out on one of my walks, I have my headphones on. I don't use earbuds. I don't like earbuds. Sorry, guys. Those of you who like earbuds, I'm glad you enjoy them. I use headphones. But I'm listening on my headphones, right? And I'd be walking along for like 10 or 15 minutes, and then somebody would walk by. Now, normally, out on these rails and trails paths, people will wave to each other, will greet each other, and so forth. The first few days that I was using the positive playlist, I'd get out there, and I was getting these really big reactions from people. Like, hey, how you doing? And all that. Like, whoa, what happened? It took me a while to realize that because I was not only doing a walk, which I loved, but I was also listening to my music. The two combined together had me smiling like an idiot.
Yeah,
I had this big smile on my face, and that's what people were reacting to, and I didn't know it. I had to kind of take stock to say, oh, I must be smiling really big. In fact, I even remember pulling out the phone and turning it on like I was going to take a selfie, just so I could see the look on my face. I had this big smile. It's like, this is cool. This is a really cool thing. I didn't even have to work to get there. All I did was walk and play my music, and I got this big smile.
That's the best.
But it shows just how powerful it can be because of the reactions I got from other people. So I like doing that now. I like walking along and listening to my music and so forth, and just watching the reactions. Like, yeah, hey, how you doing?
Nice.
Yeah.
So much of what we're doing, I feel, in life is we're removing the resistances that we've built up.
Exactly.
We're letting go of the resistances, and then we're letting our default state, which is automatically happy and feels good, letting that come forward more and more.
I have to keep reminding myself of that. That's what we're doing, isn't it? You said this a couple times so far during the show, that we're allowing our default happy state to come through. It's not like we have to work to get that state. We just have to work to let it in because it's already there. I have to keep remembering that because that is our natural state, isn't it?
It is. And I think that our Western civilization and our upbringing by our parents and teachers and everything, and our news media and everything have taught us a whole other mindset that is fraught with assuming that things are a struggle and things are difficult and that there's no free lunch and all that stuff. And so what I feel like I'm spending a lot of time doing is just sort of letting go of the angst I have been carrying. It's sort of like PTSD. You're letting go of this caution and fear that life doesn't actually work and that it's up to us to constantly protect ourselves. And that just, Abraham was saying, if you go into a segment of your day saying what you intend because you're trying to protect yourself from everything that could go wrong, that you think is going to go wrong in that next segment, then that's not really going to work. That segment intending, don't do it in that case.
Right.
But if you can do it from the place of feeling that, life is actually designed to be a beautiful unfolding event, an expansive, and that our default state is joy. And so then say, well, I intend to feel a lot of joy. I want to feel playfulness. I want to feel creativity. I want to experience a bunch of awesome communication with these beautiful people I'm going to be with. Or I want to really notice how nature is telling me, is singing a song to me, is showing me that there's great beauty, that I can relax. I don't have to try so hard. Huge amount of my life and what I do with my clients is to get people to just simply chill out. That's one of the main things. I almost called my business, something about chilling out. I was going to call it From Angst to Ease, because Abraham said at one point, it says, all we're trying to do and all of this stuff we're teaching you is how to go from angst to ease, just to how to find ease. And so you can let your default state, come forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That default state is the ideal state. It's the happy state. It's the feel-good state. And
I think it's the passion, too.
It is the passion. Well, that's when the passion comes through, because it's like the idea that a belief is a thought that we think over and over again. I think the same thing is true for a passion. A passion is an emotion that we emote and feel the emotion of over and over again, and it just keeps building and building and building and building until over time it gets to the point where the passion is, well, passionate, where it's big, it's strong, it's powerful.
A lot of it comes from a sense of freedom. That's why Abraham, I think, said that the three reasons that we're here on this earth are for joy, expansion, and freedom. And if we let ourselves have those things, and they said the main one is joy. That's the main reason we're here. So, in every situation I go into, I say to myself, okay, I want to feel joy. But a lot of times I add playfulness and fun, because I realize that I've spent so many years not letting my life be playful and fun that, I probably haven't been truly playful and fun consistently since I was a kid. I think it was a little easier then until I got into school, of course.
Yeah.
But I certainly lived for vacations, and when I was on whatever it was, Christmas vacation or summer vacation, I just let loose. I let it rip. The entire summer I was nothing but just a free person. I was out of jail, and then in September they come and put the cuffs on me and take me back to school. That's how I felt all the time all the time I was growing up. I felt like, okay, back to prison.
Yeah.
But when I finally got out, I remember the day, because I happened to have gotten out of the draft on the same day, and I was like so happy. I was done with college. I was out of the draft, and now I had my life for the first time. I was like, 20 years old, and I was able to say, I can go and do anything in my life that I want to do now. I'm completely free. So I think freedom is huge to us. Freedom, joy, and then to be feeling like we're expanding. But all those things are naturally there. That's the funny thing. They are all our default state.
Yeah, they are there, aren't they?
We try so hard, and sometimes I think that's what we don't get, is that it's built in.
It's about letting it out. That's what the allowing is, right? Allowing is letting it out.
Allowing it to be, yeah. Allowing it to flow to us from our vortex, but our vortex is simply, I think, it's really who we really are, who we came in as. And we each have a signature way that we express our happiness. And it's sort of, to me, it's kind of, I'm always trying just to finesse my happiness, let it flow.
To finesse it. Ooh, I haven't heard that word used on the podcast. We're going to finesse our happiness today. Today we will practice finessing our happiness. We're going to use finesse terms, and we're going to play finesse with our cards, and we're going to play finesse with our tennis, because the two rhyme. And we're going to do finessing today.
Well, I ask clients often ask me, what do you, when you coach, how would it go? What would we be doing? And one of the things I explain is, well, a lot of ways I'm teaching you in a way to dance with your life, because I want you to let go on the dance floor of your life to finesse your life. to make it, like you would finesse a dance movement. You kind of know how to move a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right and then to go forward, but you do it all with such a grace and an ease that it looks really good and it feels really good. You're starting to really feel the rhythm, and you're finessing your body on that dance floor to feel all these subtle, beautiful things going on, and suddenly you're dancing. You're a dancer,
right?
And so that's what you want to do with your life. You want to like, okay, you get a little bit of this, you get a little bit of that, and you get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it starts to become really fun to be a human being. It starts to be really fun to be alive, and you're getting high, just realizing that there's nothing serious going on here. This is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be a flow, and contrast will come, but it's all just for enhancing my expansion, enhancing my freedom, enhancing my joy. And it's some game that I'm playing here, that I want to finesse this game of life,
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Well, you mentioned that the contrast will come, and that's actually kind of like I don't want to call it a pet peeve because that sounds too negative. It's a key point for me. Let's put it that way. The idea that, because it for me, it connects to the idea that if we're aiming to feel good all the time, we're unrealistic because bad stuff happens in life. You have to be ready for it. Well, the way I look at it is, why not stay happy all the time? Because it's not like you won't notice the contrast. You won't notice the stuff that comes along that challenges you or gives you the opportunity to say, no, I don't want that. It's going to come anyway. It's going to be there. It's not like there's a lack of it. There's plenty of it. There's loads of contrast in this world. We don't have to go looking for it. It basically comes to find us. So, why worry about the contrast? The contrast is going to come. I'm going to spend my time getting happy. And in the process of getting happy, I'll get some contrast. I'll get some choices. I'll get, Walt, do you want to try doing this thing that basically makes your feet wet? No, thank you. I think I'll skip that one. But thanks for the offer. I appreciate it.
Yeah, there'll definitely always be contrast. And I mean, I find I spend most of my time not necessarily in this place of ultimate freedom and expansion and joy, but I spend a lot of time noticing that, why would I not be choosing that? And then it's like, I can sort of then try to finesse my way into just more relaxation and more saying, okay, where's the joy? Right now, what is it that I'm feeling inside? I sort of search inside my body, and if there's any feeling, just be with it. And if it's a feeling of, well, why would I be feeling a little bit of sadness right now? Or gosh, I am feeling excited about going to see so-and-so. And I do feel good about that. And
plus also the fact that contrast comes along can also be a good thing. When the contrast comes along, your choice isn't necessarily to say, no, thank you. Your choice could also be, I like that. I'll take some more of that. I want to get my feet wet for that. In fact, wet my feet as soon as possible. I'm ready to go. Shall we go now?
Yeah, and that's what Abraham talks about as steps 4 and 5, is that you get good at allowing contrast, so that even if you feel like you're going all the way back to the beginning with something, you actually anticipate that this is cool. I'm going to learn some new stuff here. I'm going to learn something really cool.
And ultimately, I think when we're in step 4 or 5, step 4 is where you're in that high vibrational place that you're experiencing as a result of the allowing in step 3. You basically built up the allowing. Well, you're not going to find a whole lot of things in step 4 where you're going back to the beginning. You're probably going to be progressing pretty quickly from that place, because it's such.
And remind us again, step 4 is when you're feeling that you're getting good at
when the vibration from step 3 has really grown because you've really gotten good at allowing. So you're accelerating the allowing, so to speak, and getting that really high vibration going, ready for step 5, which is to jump back in step 1 with your next ask. You're asking from a higher level of vibration. So.
Right. Because there's always going to be, the second we arrive at something that we really want, then we begin searching for the next best thing.
Absolutely.
Something that's going to even feel better, because that's our nature of expansion.
It is.
That's how we expand. We're always like, okay, this was really cool. I'm really glad that I experienced this, and I wonder how much better this can get, or what I want to do next.
Well, this has been really cool. The only bad part is that we've run out of time, so we can't keep going with it. But we'll have to do it again on Friday. Sound good to you?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
All right. And we'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.